The Supreme Court hands Biden another L. Welcome to another installment of Connecticut Gun Bench. Today's video is brought to you by P.A.N. Firearms, LLC. P.A.N. Firearms for NRA certification and multifaceted gun training. You can reach us at 203-300-6343 or use our website at www.panfirearmsllc.com. As always, there'll be a link in the description box below. Let's talk about this. The Supreme Court on June 30th handed the Biden administration another loss. And basically what the Supreme Court does is they curbed the Environmental Protection Agency from regulating carbon emissions without using the legislative branch of the federal government. Now, you're asking yourself, well, what does this have to do with guns? I am going to show you. You have to stay with me on this because I'm going to give you a little background foundation, but this does have something to do with guns. Okay. I'm gonna go here. We're just gonna, once again, foundation, but it's just Fox News. It's just a video here because I want to give foundation. I'm gonna build on that. Let's watch this.
But we've got the ruling in from Shannon Bream and from Bill Mears, our Supreme Court producer. They have ruled against the Biden administration over climate change authority. This is considered a major blow to the federal government's power and perhaps a setback to the Biden administration. The court has ruled that the EPA lacks broad statutory authority to curb greenhouse gas emissions. EP is telling us that we've got Shannon back. Shannon, are you with us?
I am. Okay, so this is a 6-3 opinion at first blush here. We do have a concurrence by Justice Gorsuch, but this is authored by the Chief Justice John Roberts. And what the majority has said in pushing back on the sweeping EPA power to institute and implement its regulations says this: capping carbon dioxide emissions at a level that will force a nationwide transition away from the use of coal to generate electricity may be a sensible, quote, solution to the crisis of the day. But they go on to say it's not plausible that Congress gave EPA the authority to adopt on its own such a regulatory scheme. They say a decision of such magnitude and consequence rests with Congress itself or an agency acting pursuant to a clear delegation from that representative body. So essentially they're saying the EPA has gone too far in the way it interpreted how it can crack down on these carbon dioxide emissions, that Congress should have been more clear in delegating that exact power to the EPA, or that Congress itself should be doing it. So it is a brushback to the EPA's power and reach as an administrative agency. It seems pretty narrowly tailored to the EPA itself, but we'll keep reading and we'll look at the dissent, which is authored by Justice Kagan, joined by Justices Breyer and Sotomayor as well. We'll get you that as soon as we dig into that.
Shannon, thanks.
Okay. I'm going to go here. You heard that? So Supreme Court, CNN, Supreme Court curbs EPA's ability to fight climate change. The Supreme Court curbed the Environmental Protection Agency's ability to broadly regulate carbon emissions from existing power plants, a major defeat for the Biden administration's attempt to slash emissions at a moment when scientists are sounding alarms about the accelerating pace of global warming. Yes, and for every scientist you find that says it's global warming, you can find another one that says it's nonsense. But they talk about science, but they only talk about the science that only aligns with their ideology and their thoughts. But so basically what has happened here, okay, they've told the EPA or the Biden administration that you can't use the EPA to enforce rules that were never made law by the legislature. You can't just broadly say the EPA can do this and do that without having legislative backing to complement it. Now, remember I said, what does this have to do with guns? I'm going to show you right now. Remember, the Biden administration has no qualms using the letter agencies, EPA, OSHA, so forth, FBI, ETF, to push regulations without legislative backing. I'll give you an example. OSHA, during COVID, they tried to use OSHA to push COVID restrictions on government workers. The Supreme Court said, no, you can't do that. Remember, they used the EPA, once again, to push COVID restrictions and mask mandates. The court said, no, you can't do that. They have no qualms doing it. I remember I did a video previously where the Biden administration has the CDC, and they're still doing it. Don't think they're not doing it. The CDC is looking into gun violence as an epidemic. Remember, I did a video on that. That was a while back. The CDC is still doing that. And they're using the term epidemic. Notice every time they talk about gun violence, they say gun violence, and they throw the word epidemic. The epidemic of gun violence epidemic. Why are they saying that? Because they're trying to make it sound like it's some kind of disease. Then they can make rules and laws that circumvent the Constitution. That's what's going on here. Okay? Now, another thing that they're doing, I'm going to go over here. Here's that quick article, and this was dated back, oh gosh, when did I do my last video? Yeah, this was in August of 2021, where his CDC head was being interviewed by CNN. And now they're talking about, and the CDC director was talking about gun violence as a health crisis. When this is Cuomo did the same thing where he declared gun violence a health crisis, which of course frees up all kind of money to do all kinds of things. They tried to pull that off here in Connecticut, but enough people spoke out against it where they dropped it. There's other things that have been going on, because you got to remember, in California for years, and they still are trying to do this, they wanted to ban using lead ammunition for hunting. So imagine how expensive, imagine if you couldn't use lead-based ammunition to go hunting, how expensive hunting would be. The non-lead ammo is not cheap. Now, that's why I'm saying we need to watch this, because this move by the Supreme Court to rein in the EPA puts Biden on notice that you can't use these agencies to enforce policies that are not backed by law. That's a good thing for us, because, as I said, there are things going on in the background concerning firearms that are not part of the legislature that are being done through these agencies. Just as the ATF, wanted to reclassify what an arm brace was. So you may not see the connection, but there definitely is a correlation between the two. Now I want to go through one more thing, and this is a social commentary. After the Supreme Court handed the liberals, the left, one L after another, the true nature of the liberal has come to the surface. And you can see this over my shoulder. This person claims himself to be a liberal, a leftist, and yet has no problem referring to Clarence Thomas, the Black Supreme Court Justice, as the N-word. And she's not the only one. I got this article here. This is at the Free Press. This is an article after the fall of Roe, liberals openly torched Justice Thomas with the full-blown N-word attacks. And, amazing, right? This is the party of tolerance, unity, inclusiveness. And let me be very clear, I've said it over and over again. The Democratic Party is not pro-black, they're pro-Democrat. And there's a big difference, because once you're a black person who does not adhere to the Democrat ideal, this is what happens to you. But let's go here. I'm just going to come down to this part because I'm just going to get to the point of it. There were almost too many to count. Here is a sample, as well as some reactions from those on the left. For instance, John Colbert, described by the Washington Times as a retired left-wing Canadian pollster who goes under the handle @JohnV.Colbert, labeled Thomas in a tweet, "just another dumb field N-word." Go down some more. These are the self-righteous people who see black people as either an acceptable N-word or a field N-word. Quote, "Either way, we'll always be N-word because our purpose is to serve the master." Adam B. Coleman, exposer of racist progressive rot. Another user, a self-proclaimed socialist and environmentalist whose account was Robert Sepp-er, wrote, "If you're pro-choice and want to support my support, simply proclaim Clarence Thomas is an N-word and you will receive it." Another, whose handle was Bob Fauci, called the justice an N-word slave who is who's to his white nutcase wife. Still another, IndyCat30, added, "Doesn't the N-word," that's the one that I showed you earlier, realize his rights are next. And then added, of course, "I'm not a racist either, just making a point." Yeah. In other examples, Kuhn and Uncle Tom were also favorites among liberals, while one white user, Abigail Markstein, trotted out the old KKK standby, dubbing Thomas a dirty porch monkey, and that she was giving everyone permission to use the N-word on him. In the wake of such verbal assault, some on Twitter, including self-described liberals, pointed out how eager their fellow liberals, mostly white, but also some white who are black, seem overly eager to drop the N-word bomb with alleged anger over Roe giving them cover, because they're hypocrites. Commentator Clifton Duncan, who describes himself as an artist and heterodox liberal, noted, "You just know most of the people calling Clarence Thomas N-word have hate, has no home signs here sign on their lawn." Truth. Another goes by Guard Ring added, "There's mad white people who are waiting to call Clarence Thomas an N-word out loud for years, and they all seem to be BLM liberals." BLM is made up of mostly white people, so what do you want? But then one person makes a great point. Right here, this is pure truth. And one who goes by Darrell Lee observed, "Call Barack Obama an N-word and see how long it takes you to get a total lifetime ban. The point is, Twitter looks the other way on Clarence Thomas and Republicans, but would not on a black person from the left." Facts, truth, absolutely. This stuff is all over Twitter and nobody's getting banned, nobody's having this stuff taken down. Let a Republican, black or white, I don't know why a black Republican, I've never heard a black Republican even do this kind of nonsense. Could you just imagine a white person calling a leftist, liberal, black person the N-word? They'd be off so fast, you could literally fry an egg on how fast they'd be off. This is who they are. This is who they are. Finally now the Klan hoods have come back out. Yeah, I'm calling them out. Look how casually and easily they can to take a black man and call him the N-word. And why they call him the N-word? Because he doesn't step and fetch to the Democrat ideal. But this is how they treat black conservatives. Anyone who doesn't step in line with the Democrat Party, if you're not white, then you're the Hispanic face of white supremacy, as they called Flores down in Texas when she won her congressional race. You are the black face of white supremacy, as they called Thomas. This is who they are. The hoods have come back out again. The old Dixiecrats are back in effect. You know, a very interesting man said this many years ago. And boy, did he nail it. He said this in the 50s. I could double check me that. I'm pretty sure it's around the 50s, 60s. He made this statement. And I'm going to leave with that.
In this crooked game of power politics here in America, the Negro, namely the race problem, integration, civil rights issue, are all nothing but tools used by the whites who call themselves liberals against another group of whites who call themselves conservatives, either to get into power or to retain power. Among whites here in America, the political teams are no longer divided into Democrats and Republicans. The whites who are now struggling for control of the American political throne are divided into liberal and conservative camps. The white liberals from both parties cross party lines to work together toward the same goal. And white conservatives from both parties do likewise. The white liberal differs from the white conservative only in one way. The liberal is more deceitful, more hypocritical, than the conservative. Both want power, but the white liberal is the one who has perfected the art of posing as the Negro's friend and benefactor. And by winning the friendship and support of the Negro, the white liberal is able to use the Negro as a pawn or a weapon in this political football game that is constantly raging between the white liberals and the white conservatives. The American Negro is nothing but a political football, and the white liberals control this ball through tricks or tokenism, false promises of integration and civil rights. In this game of deceiving and using the American Negro, the white liberals have complete cooperation of the Negro civil rights leader, who sell our people out for a few crumbs of token recognition, token gains, token progress.
But let me know what you think. As always, you can leave your comments in the comment section below. And as always, any statements of violence or statements that lead to violence will be removed. Please like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you're notified the next time a video goes live. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.